I don't know if there was a co-pilot on the plane that crashed last week, but it was, in my opinion, being that we owned and operated a Citation V, with a similar situation, we always had two pilots if we had more than just one of us on the plane, because I could sit and fly right seat and at least know what's going on, and I could make radio calls or whatever. But if you were a non-pilot and it was more than just me in the plane, especially myself and my sister, my partner in the business, we would always hire another professional co-pilot that was checked out in that year, make, and model, and has dealt with the systems issue of these older Citations. So the same kind of concept back to the Saratoga was you have these Garmin systems, these navcoms, these navigational GPS that run a really sophisticated platform and tie your coordinates, your GPS coordinates from your initial takeoff airport on the instrument flight plan, each GPS coordinate. You have a really great map laid out to the destination. And then you load approaches, what's called an approach plate, into your Garmin. And if you have a Garmin Autopilot, it works amazing. And as long as you have all of the data set for your dew point and your other components that you're putting into the system, your altimeter settings, etc., all of that systems integration, it will fly that approach extremely tight and and I'd say very precise. And it's called a precision approach for a reason. Even into Montgomery, it has an ILS and a GPS precision approach, which will get you down to like roughly 250 feet. And that guy was operating an old 1985 Citation that I just know most likely didn't have that systems integration. He'd been flying all night and was more than likely, if not 100%, he was tired. And with that, he got 150 feet low on the last like half mile of the approach in the clouds at 3:45 in the morning. It's dark. It's completely socked in with marine layer, and he went in with the approach and he got 150 foot low. And I can say that with certainty because he hit the power pole that's marked clearly on the approach plate, the approach procedure document. It's marked at 550 feet. So that is the challenge of systems not integrating, is you can't fully depend on them. And so systems integration is bigger than just flying. Like, it's something to really consider across your business and aircraft. And then without that system integration, he really should have, if he didn't have a co-pilot, because then you can make sure there's two sets of eyes confirming you don't go low on these approaches, and making safe decisions. Like, don't go in the middle of the night if you don't have to. Like running an aero medevac or something like that, where your life, there's critical life on the line. You're a first responder. You may have to fly in the middle of the night. They have a bunch of pilots that are set up for that. It's an organized function to make sure pilots are safe. You got to make safe decisions operating aircraft. So I'll leave that there. So then from there, we went to a Meridian, from the Piper Saratoga. We went to a Meridian, great systems integration. It was a 2014, had Garmin G1000, Autopilot, GPS, awesome. Everything, all the engine gauges, everything was on the same platform. That thing flew approaches and did all of that really well. It was a little bit dated now, but it was integrated and it worked really well. Then we had the Citation V. It was a nightmare from a systems standpoint. We went through 3 or 4 of those autopilot controllers. So one of the fun ones for us, thank God we weren't in a critical approach moment, but we were flying from San Diego to West Palm Beach. And we were up at 45,000 feet riding the tailwinds to go east. And we had complete autopilot failure, similar to my Saratoga, but just different. It just went black. Nothing was working anymore. We only had one pilot. It was super early it was the shakedown moment again of that Citation after it had been gone through a bunch of maintenance in order to be delivered to us. And anyways, we lose the autopilot at 45,000 feet. And my pilot buddy that we had hired on as a professional pilot, because I'm not typed to fly jets. And I decided after having kids that this was the departure. So part of the story is why I decided not to fly the jet. We have a hired pilot. Autopilot goes dark, quits working at 45,000 feet. He calls me up. I had been planning in the event of an emergency. I wasn't going to be drinking on the plane or anything like that at this moment, like especially in the early phase of owning this, intentionally so I could get up in the right seat just in case of an emergency. Anyways, second flight in, we had the autopilot fail. So I get up in the front right seat. He's still in the captain's seat. And it was just so I could hold the plane at a set altitude and hand fly it while he went through and reset circuit breakers, chasing why we lost power to the autopilot. Long story short, the autopilot controller, we even took a screwdriver, pulled it from the panel at 45,000 feet, made sure the plug was in the back sound. We didn't have a tester with us, but otherwise it was clean and sound and connection, and we got nothing. We reset the circuit breaker, everything, nothing. So we hand flew it in from about probably, North Carolina to West Palm, and we just descended and gave ATC a notice. But it was luckily great weather. It was a VFR approach into West Palm that night, and an uneventful story, but that could have been bad because if it was weather and we needed that autopilot because he was single pilot, flying a jet single pilot is very task heavy, and you're going so fast. We were doing 600 with the winds at that moment. So there's a lot going on. So I'd say for all my business owner friends that would love to own a plane, you should understand that you really become the director of operations of the flight department if you own a plane. And if you are fortunate enough to be able to hire a captain full time, potentially a co-pilot, something like a Falcon, or as you go up through there's a bunch of planes, but Falcon to a Gulfstream being the ultimate, you would then hire a crew. And that crew makes the decisions, but you have to still be cognizant of that they are on your payroll and they are going to listen to you. And you don't want to be stupid about making decisions on safety. So flying in the middle of the night, I don't care who you are, flying in the middle of the night is not easy for any pilot and any crew. Now, if you sleep all day and you fly all night with regularity, then that's a different story. But if you're running around and you decide you want to get home from New York at 11 p.m., then you're going to put your crew in a heavy task-saturated environment in the middle of the night. They're going to be tired, and you're going to lose some mental capabilities, and you're going to lose the safety and precision along the way. So I would encourage everyone that operates airplanes to always look at it as though you're going to be flying and you're going to be the pilot. Because if you were to come off of your job and you're tired and you just decide to hop in the plane and fly yourself home in the middle of the night, that's...
All right, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and check out the description below for our websites listed. Thanks a lot for joining.